root, root, your hands are up. Okay, looks like she's not here. Okay, so let us get right into our code. So we have a stateful widget here. So let's just say because I'm using Flutter Web, it's just going to hot restart. So you should already be used to words like hot reload and hot restart. Yeah. So please, if you have any questions, ask, please. Okay, Yusuf, your hands are up.
Yes, you deleted some line of codes here just now.
Yeah.
So I really didn't get that part.
Okay, so I said I wasn't going to be using the default counter application for Flutter. Yeah. So I'm going to write my own code now. That's why I do not need that line of code again. You get? I hope that's fine, right?
But the ones that are still here, I still don't understand them. The from 1 to 30, we have 30 lines now. Also.
Yes. Oh, were you not taught stateful and stateless widgets?
Yeah, we're only told what they are, their meaning, their definitions.
Okay, so you don't know what they do.
Like we were told that stateless widgets cannot be altered once they are built. Just like using text, raise-hand buttons, and icon buttons like that. Then stateful widgets can be edited, which are your checkbox, text editors, and the likes. But we have not gone into the practical aspect to see how they are being used.
Well, that is what I'm going to do right now. That is what I'm going to do right now.
Okay.
So you can just at least you can see my screen, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So we would get into all those stuff. We will get into all those stuff right now. So you can lower your hand there. Yeah. Okay. So let's get right into this. So in scaffold widgets, we have because Yusuf said he doesn't know how to use this stuff. So we have different properties in our scaffold widget. And the beautiful thing about Flutter is that Flutter tells you what to do in a widget. So you know that you can have a key, you can have an app bar, you can have a body, you can have floating action button in your scaffold. So hold on, please. Let me just admit this guy. Okay. So Flutter tells you, it does a lot for you already. It's already taking you like a child. So what you're going to be doing right now, you can see, hold on. You can see in my mouse is display. You can see in my code, I'm running my code on the web, and you can see that all those lines of code have disappeared. The counter application is no longer there. The counter application is no longer there because I've removed all those guys from my code. So yeah, let us get right into it. So we want to display an image right now. So how do we go about this? We have a scaffold. Scaffold takes in a body. You can also have an app if you want, but I don't want an app. So I want a body, and I want the body to be centered. Or to be centered. And to have a child or asset image. You can also do I like to do image.assets. Yeah. So image.asset takes in image.asset takes in a string. Yeah. So image.asset takes in a string. So from our first class, our first ever class together, we had data types in that because that is the main programming language. And we know that a string is a data type in that. And you can use string with double quotes or single quote based on what we prefer. But me, I prefer anyone, but you can use anyone. But you can't use one single quote and one double quote. It doesn't work that way. You have to use either a single quote or a double quote. So we want to reference this file here. Can follow my mouse. We want to reference one of these files here. And because we have already done that in our popsec.yaml by calling the assets folder, we have the images in our assets folder, but we want to reference it in our main.dat file. So we can do that by saying assets 013 smiling one.png. Yeah. So this is telling our Flutter app that inside this assets file where we store the image and all, we can go here and it will call out this image that is here. So I'm going to save this, and once I save it, it's going to run. So while it's running, can somebody tell me whether this code would run or it wouldn't run? Anybody? Anybody? I'm not getting any response. So
I have no idea.
I think because it should run that because the file directory is correct according to what I'm seeing on the screen.
okay, so you said
And the
it will
debugging
run.
yes, the debugging aspect is not bringing out any error, so I think the code should run.
You okay? Okay. Anybody else? Anybody else? Is it that there's nobody in the class or what?
No idea.
Okay, you said no idea. Oh,
So
but
I think
from okay.
okay, I think it is in container or material app.
Okay, so we already have an error already, and we already have an error on the screen. So it did not work. It did not work. So can anybody tell why it did not work? If you notice in my in my popsec.yaml, I did not save the change I made. So Flutter doesn't already know I have Flutter doesn't know yet because I haven't saved the change I made. I haven't saved it. So Flutter doesn't know this change has occurred. So it is still checking. If you look at this error message here, it's still checking where this is. It does not know where it is. It does not know where it is. See the error while trying to load an asset. Fail to load an asset, asset, stuff like that. You get. So Flutter doesn't know that this is there. And if you notice one thing again, in the in the error, there are two assets here. You notice in the if you notice the in the assets here, there are two assets references as assets and assets. But let us save this first and continue with what we have. So if we save this, the Flutter has to do Flutter problem gets, which just gets all the packages to make sure everything is okay for our Flutter. Yeah. After it would not still because we have to start over again. We have to restart. We have to restart the. Sorry, please. Can you guys just give me a minute? I have to attend to something, please.
Okay.
Okay, so I hope everybody can hear me.
Yes, yes.
So, for that code to run, in order for all that code to run, sorry, just hold on. Okay, please. I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry about everything. Uh, sorry. Can everybody hear me? I'm really sorry about that. I had to take off some stuff.
Yeah, you can hear you.
Okay. Okay. Can you still see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So you can see that there's no error after running pub.get. Um, but let us re let us restart the stream again. And if everything is correct, it's still supposed to give us an error. So let's see. So here is performing a hot restart. Waiting for connection from okay. Okay, that's doing. So yeah, there's still an error. Okay. And if you notice in the error here, it is not showing assets, whatever, because we have told uh, um we've told PubSec.yaml that it's going to be found in the asset. But because these images were being added after the server was online, it will not show. So we have to stop everything. We have to hold on. So I have to stop the debug. Can't access the top of my screen. Okay. Okay, I hope I'm still visible to everybody. My screen is still visible, right?
Yes.
Okay. I would want to stop sharing for a while so I can access the top part of my screen. Okay. Okay. So I'm back. So I've stopped the debug. I've stopped the debugging on the app, and I'm going to start it again. Okay. So I'm going to start debugging all over again. I'm going to run the app all over again. So show you guys the image that's going to be there. So while this is on, I'm just showing you how to add images to your Flutter app. So somebody said, okay, so while this is running, I'll just create a new file. Just call it widgets. Okay. So Yusuf, yeah, can you hear me? Yusuf.
Yes, I can.
Okay, so you said you have not been taught the practical aspects of all the widgets in Flutter, right?
Yes.
Okay, so in the class that you had, there was no physical representation of those widgets that you were being taught, right? If I'm being clear.
Yes.
Okay, so let us do a quick recap. I hope everybody can hear me. It's not only Yusuf that's in this class. I hope everybody can hear me. No response. Well, let's not waste our time. Let us get on with it. So first things first, when you want to um, do anything that has to do with Flutter, you need to import um, um, you need to import uh, material.dat here as is shown here. So let's do that. So import sorry, this string material. And if you are using VS Code, it should be easier for you to do this. Then we have a stateless widget. Let's have a stateless widget. Sorry for the speed of my laptop. It's quite slow because of all the stuff on the laptop right now. Let's just give a stateless widget Flutter recap. Flutter. Let's see that. So let's start with the most basic thing we need to know. We need to know about the material app. That is what is being used in this stateless widget here. I hope everybody can see my screen. Uh, material app is like the most basic level of Flutter you need to know. So Material App has so many parameters. It has the title, theme, home. In the navigation class that we had, we also have where we can define our routes in our Material App widget. It has a local for languages. So to remove this, sorry, okay, that's been cleared. But to remove that, there, if you notice on the screen of that um, that web Chrome um, app, there was a place where it showed debug there. It has a parameter to remove that banner and stuff like that. So what we'll be using in this class is just the title. We wouldn't even need to use the theme in this class. We wouldn't even need to use the theme in this class. You can comment that out. You can also use the home. So that's useful. Okay, so this has finished building the system. Just give me a second. Okay. Okay. So we would even need to use theme, first of all. So we just need the title and the home. So the home basically tells us the child of the parents widget. The parents widget here is a material widget. So the the home property just tells us what the child widget would be for this material app. So if you are confused about parents and child, just know that parents give birth to children and children of parents give birth to children, which makes grandchildren, just like the family tree hierarchy. That is almost the same thing as what Flutter does. So Flutter always has a parent widget. That's the beginning, the root, and all those widgets have children, and all those children have children, and children have children, and stuff like that. So everything is like a tree. It starts from somewhere, obviously, and it goes down in an hierarchy. So material app actually stateless widget. It is the main root, which is my app. Then we have material app, which is the child of, which is returning a, my app is returning a material app, which is like the child of my app. Material app is returning Flutter class, which is like the grandchild of my app. So you get how the hierarchy works, right? I hope everybody is hearing me correctly.
Yes.
Okay. So if you are confused, please ask your questions now because next few minutes are going to be really wild. So ask your questions now, please.
Sir, can you hear me, sir?
I can hear you.
Okay, sir. According to what I'm saying here, if I may ask, this title and home, they are children to my material app, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So let me explain it better. Okay. So this title parameter here, you might not even need it, first of all, because Flutter has what we call null null safety, where some things are not needed. So they use, I won't even want to go into that explanation for now, but let me just give you so you have clarity. So you have, if you notice here in the material app, there's a string title, and it is already predefined in Flutter because it's equal to an empty string. So if you remove this title from here, you wouldn't get any build errors in Flutter. You wouldn't get any syntax errors because it is not needed. If you check, it will still show an empty string. You get. So we would not need that, but it is there. So the main thing in this entire material app is this home parameter for now. It is the home parameter. So the Flutter class, it is the main child of material app. You get it? So anything you need to do, you can always check material. You can always hover on the you can always hover on the widget to see what you need to do. You can also use Flutter documentation, which is very well written. You wouldn't even need any tutorial class or anything. What we are here to do is just show you practical examples and stuff like that. You understand? So let us go back to our main code for now, which is this. So you can see that the image shows perfect. There is no error anywhere. The image shows at the center of our screen where we want it to show. So that is basically how we add images to Flutter. So let us go back to okay. Let us copy this class here. Let's copy this class and paste it here. Okay, returning container. So let me just continue explaining. So in our home parameter, let us change it to. We can actually start by doing all these scaffold center in our home parameter, but we would want our code to be at least broken down into smaller bits so that whoever is coming to look at our code will be able to read it very well. But let us change it to Flutter Repap. Flutter Repap. Okay. So after material app, we have what we call scaffold. So we can change it to scaffold. So what scaffold does? So what scaffold does is it gives our app a plain, a blank page to work on. So if you notice, Flutter gave us container at the beginning. So I want to show you what happens when Flutter gives you a container to work with. And when Flutter gives you, when you now change it to scaffold to see the difference on what happens actually. So we have container here. Let's just wait for that to build. I think it's done. Okay. I think it's done. It's still okay. So let's just wait for that to build. So we have scaffold. So what scaffold does, this entire white screen you're seeing on this app before the image removed is what scaffold does. Scaffold gives you a blank white screen to work on, just like a sheet of paper to continue to start work that you are going to be doing. And container, what container does? Okay, I think it's done loading. So what container does? Container gives you a black screen. I think it's different on. I think it's different on Flutter Web. I think it's different on Flutter Web. Flutter Web is to still give you a white screen for like some distorted text and all. Well, let's get on with it to show you what it's really does. Okay, so we have like I said, we have a child property. You have text. Text is what you use to put text in your application. So let's say text, hi, my name is Olisa. So text takes in a string parameter. Let's put it here. Oh, okay, sorry. Let's avoid unnecessary content. Uh, let's do that. So let's save this. Let's wait for that view. The new Flutter versions, 2.53 and the rest, have some kind of protection. That's why I'm getting this blue line here. Some protection because it's this container, whatever is written here, would make my code somehow because it's like the next code I'm calling after material. I'm supposed to call a scaffold widget, but I'm calling a container. So it's a kind of warning to tell me, oh, this container, this thing is unnecessary at this moment. That is why I'm getting this error. Remove unnecessary container. And I did not get it here when I said scaffold. I hope you understand where I'm coming from now.
Yes.
Okay, so let's move to scaffold. We'll come back to containers later. We'll come back to containers, but because of time. To scaffold, you have an app bar. So if you notice, on this, if you are using Teams app on your phone, you would notice that there is a place. Let's say you open the app for the first time. If you notice, there's a place where there's your initials, then Teams, then stuff like that on each page. Like if you open the chat page, your initials in any container, a circular container, and chats, and there's an icon beside it. That is what we call, that is what we call app bars. And you can't use text widgets for app bars. You use the app bar widget. Okay. Let's go app bar. Yes, app bar. So what this does, it adds an app bar for me, and there are so many parameters under the app bar. We have leading. We have the leading. This can be any widget at all. So let's just give it a text. So I'd say, because my initials are OE, let's just do OE. We can also have a title widget. This is supposed to be after the leading widget. You can also do a text and say Lotta class. After the leading, after the title, we also have action, which is a list of widgets to use. We can also use a text that says end. If we have some warning, here. Yeah. So you have to add this const modifier. Let's add this. So, okay, so all the warnings are removed. And I don't know why this is taking so long. Okay, maybe because this is not here. Yeah. So that was the problem. So this is what you get for the container. You get this rubbish whatever on your screen when you want to use containers, like text in containers, without using a scaffold, without it being under a scaffold. So you get this ugly red with yellow underline, whatever, which is not nice to the eyes. It's not nice at all. So we have to use scaffold. So let us run this. Let us run this and see what it gives us. So I'll put this here so that it'll be faster. So it works fine. It's already built. So here you can see this is our leading component in our Alpha. This is our title, Flutter class, and this is our end. And this was the banner I was talking about. To remove this banner, you can just simply go to our material app and say debug show check mode banner. Oh, I hope I spelled that. Okay, this is debug. Sorry, this is debug. So this should remove that line there. Yeah, so it is removed. So we can see the beauty of Flutter. You don't even need to write much code to get these components here. And I'm saying component because I've been writing a lot of JavaScript these days. So sorry about that. This is actually called widgets in Flutter. But this is also a component. Anyone that comes to your mind, you don't necessarily need to call it widgets. So you can write this, you can do this in just 4 lines of code or 5 lines of code in Flutter. So that is one component on that scaffold. Then we also have the body parameter in scaffold. I hope everybody is following. After this, you can ask your questions, but just hold on. And we can give this a container now. So under container has so many this container widget has some other parameters too. We have alignment, padding, color, decoration, width, height, constraints, margin, and so on and so forth. But for this, we would explore all these things on your own. But to show some other things, let's have a width of 200, 200, height of 200, and color or colors red. So this is also how we add colors in Flutter. We have to add colors, and just the color. So if you have a custom color, let's say you have a color code, you can do that by color in your color in your brackets, then 0 times FF, then the color code you want to use. Let's say you want to use black 00. So hold on. That is 0000000. Let's see, that's the color you want to use. Yes, you want to use this color. So if you save this in my body, I'm supposed to see a container in the body of my app. Now I'm supposed to see a container with a color of black, width of 200, height of 200, a perfect square with a color of black. That is how we use container. So I hope everybody is following. If you are not following, please ask your questions right now. Thank you.
I'm following, but there are some challenges. Maybe you have to ask later after the class or something.
No, you can ask them now.
Okay. From the app bar, so I think we have after you call this action, you will have constant, then you have this bracket. This bracket is different from this squarely bracket is different from this normal bracket. So what is the essence of this bracket to the other one?
Okay, so like I said earlier,
Once more,
actions
excuse
is
me, one more thing. And what is the essence of all these constants?
okay. I will explain all this now. So we talked about lists in our first class. I don't know if you can still remember. We talked about lists. List is a data type. So this actions parameter needs to have a list of widgets. So to have a list of widgets, you need this bracket here. This bracket that looks like a square. In mathematics, we call it a closed interval, stuff like that. But this is not mathematics. This is a Flutter. So we need this to have a list. So without this, if I do this without the bracket, I'm going to have an error. It's going to tell me argument type text cannot be assigned to parameter type list widgets. So you get now. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so for this const modifiers here, so what this const does is because these values are cannot be changed. Although it's a recent update in Flutter, I think it started from Flutter 2.51 and all. So because these values cannot be changed, they need to be constant. That is why you need this const modifier here. Because it's just telling the app that yes, these are constant. When you are reloading the app, you're not going to reload the state of these widgets. I hope I'm making myself clear.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Does that answer your question? Or you still need some more explanation?
I'm okay with that.
Okay. So let's go on with other things about container. So we have given it a width of 200, a height of 200, but we don't want this black box. Say we want a border. We don't want the color inside the box. We want the color just on the outsides of the box. How do we do that? We do that by decorating the box. You might ask, how do we decorate boxes in Flutter? So container has so this is how we create boxes in Flutter. First of all, you can either use a container or you can use a size box. or would be, let us just move on to what we have for now. We have a container with a width of 200, a height of 200. Then we want to give it a border. We don't want that. We don't want this inner background or whatever. It is looking to how do I put it? It's looking too scary for us. So what we do, we remove this color and give it a decoration. Decoration. It's like decorating the container. For decoration takes in box decoration. And we can give this container a border by doing border dot all. I think that's colors black. Okay, so let's save this and wait for it to finish. It looks like this one is taking its time, but we'll wait. So what this is supposed to do, okay, I think it should be done now. What this does is just giving that box we created a border. We did this by adding decoration. So anytime you want to use decoration in containers, you need this box decoration. This box decoration. And box decoration has so many things. You can also give your container a border radius. We will do that. You can also increase the thickness of this border in the border.all. This is here. You can see the border by the sides and all. You can also give your border some thickness by doing a width. Let's say width of 5. And if you notice, I've been using comma here, 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 here. So basically, anytime you want to add another property for your widget, you need comma to be able to add it. Let's save this and see what difference it makes in our code. Okay, so let's just wait for a while. So what's supposed to increase the thickness of our border. That's what it's supposed to do, basically. And then I also said you can add radius. So what if we want a circle instead of a square? How do we do that? You can see the border thickness has changed. We want a circle instead of a square. How do we do that? So we just come here after this border, and I would want to format that code. Okay. So we want border radius. Sorry. Border radius circular and let's say 100. So I give it a width of 200 here. Yeah. I gave it a width and a height of 200. So circular 100 to make it a circle. So let's save that and see how that affected our code. Okay. So it's supposed to give us a circle. Uh, so what's fine? Okay, that is it. We already have our circle here. So that is how we can manipulate containers and so on and so forth. So what if we don't want our container to be here at the top corner of our app? We want it to be in the center. If you notice what we did here with this scaffold where we gave our body center, so it centered this image already for us. We can do the same for the container. We can just remove this from here. We can exit for now. Then center, give it a center, and the child will now be the container. Okay. So you can see, let's save it and see the difference it's made in our code. Let's just wait for it to finish. Sorry about the speed of my laptop again. There's so many things open on the laptop that I wouldn't want to close at this moment. So I'm sorry about that. Uh, we have left what we are supposed to do today, and we are doing another thing. But it's fine because we need to understand this stuff first before moving on to bigger stuff. I think we still have about 2 more classes after this class. So we can just continue with this for this class and then move to some other stuff later. And I said we are going to have an extended class today, but some some things came up, so we wouldn't have an extended class, but we would have an assignment today on all this stuff that I've been talking about. I'm going to give you an assignment to do that will test your research skills and also how you can create all these things by yourself. And you would submit it, and I will tell you how you submit it with some other stuff. So you would need to check the Slack channel because that is where I'll be sending the assignments to. So you would need to check the Slack channel, and then if you have any issues or anything that you need explanation on, you can always message any of the tutors in the Slack channel, and you can get them by the yellow star. That's how you know the tutors. You can get them by the yellow star. So, and this class is also recorded, so you can go back and check some other stuff that have been done if you need clarity on anything. So for this class, I'm just going to put the image, that's our image in the center of this circle. So I just have to wait for this. Okay, that is done. Took a lot of time. Wow. So we have it in the center of our page. So I want to center that image, this image that we have here. I want to center it here. So we can do that by referencing this tasteful widget inside our container. I might ask, is it really necessary? Can we do this? But this is how we break down components in Flutter app. So we can just get rid of this scaffold widget here. We can get rid of this scaffold widget here. And center becomes this Flutter classes main child. So we can also put this as a child on that container. So container also has a property or a parameter child where you can give it a child. You want to give it this Flutter class here. So you can call it by saying Flutter class. So we save it and we make this constant. Okay. So let's save it and see what happens. I hope it wouldn't take our time again. Okay. Uh, okay. So while this is about to finish, I'll I'll need you guys to look at Flutter documentation again, because while I was learning Flutter, the Flutter docs was my main guy, was the guy I always go to look for what to do and what not to do. And you can get, well, before I open that page, uh, I would like to show you some other stuff here. But okay, it's done already. So let's So you can see it's even at the center of our system, because we put a center property here, center widget here, centering our image. So you can see we just created the container. We made our container a circle. We gave it a border. We also gave it a background color, which we've removed. We know how to put images in our Flutter apps now. We know how to center stuff in our Flutter applications now. And we know how to add text. We know how to add app bars. So our assignment is mainly going to be creating an interface. So you would create an interface from what you would learn in from your Flutter documentation with some YouTube videos that I would send as reference. You would also create an interface, you get. So let me show you what the Flutter documentation looks like. And I'm sure you might have stumbled across it while installing Flutter. You might have checked out the documentation for Flutter while installing Flutter. So, but again, forgive my laptop speed. Um, but let's just go. go. Uh, I think this is it. Oh, I don't think this is it. Hold on. This is Flutter. That time I used to do this thing just like that. This time, okay. We have dogs of Flutter to play. That's it. So this is the Flutter documentation. This is the Flutter documentation. I'll send the link to the Slack channel. So you would go over this whole stuff here. We have the widget catalog, we have the API doc, we have the cookbook. This is the best documentation I've seen so far for any language. You can use the cookbook. I will attach it with the widget. Uh, your assignment is going to centered on what you do. You can also watch YouTube on too many things so that you would not delaying our time when we want to go into when we want to go into instead in our next class. So so anybody that has questions on what we did here, so please indicate so that I will again it's already 60. So we have more than 10 posts. So of course, are you telling me that there's nobody that has any question? So nobody has any. Okay, so in the absence of any question, I think it's safe to end the class here today. Uh, have to end the class. So I'll send assignments and YouTube links and documentation links to the Slack channel where you can go over some of the widgets in Flutter. And we kick off with the continuation of the original class that we were supposed to have. So have a beautiful day, rest of the day, guys. Thank you for your patience and everything. And sorry for the last class that we could not meet up with. So thank you and God bless.
Thank you, sir.